Okay, welcome to this version of Tarot Tuesday. Today's topic is going to be about animal communication. And whether you are live or watch this later, I hope this is at least will get you started and kind of get you moving and have you paying attention to how animals communicate. I am, you know, my passion for animals has gone on for as long as I have been able to have a passion for animals, if that makes sense. From the time I was young, I mean, everyone that looked at me and animals said, "Oh, you should be a vet because you have this connection with animals." And so I started to do, but decided that all that science and math was really not my forte. So but it's wonderful how things come full circle, with it all. So I still get to help animals, but just in a way that I don't have to know all that like crappy science and math. Sorry, I know there are people who love it, and I'm really glad that there are because it is not me. Okay, so uh, the two of you that are here, you can drop it in the chat. I want to kind of know like what pets you have, and then for the end, as I've been asking on every show, because I send out energy for what do you most desire right now? What is it that you're most needing or wanting or dreaming about having in your life? You can drop that in the chat too, and that way when I get to the end and I'm sending out energy, I kind of know what you have in mind when I'm doing that. So would love to know what kind of animals you have. I think I know both of you what you have, but just in case there's something, one of you has a uh, oh, see, I'd forgotten you had rabbits, so that's good. Yeah, I knew you had puppy. I knew you had a new puppy, Laura, and I knew you had an older one. So, and I don't know that I knew that you had kitties. So that's good. I'm glad I asked. All right, Janelle, 3 dogs, 7 cats, 1 kitten. Yep. You're an animal junkie. He's just like me. I've had so many at one time. I'm doing really good. I'm proud of myself. I have 2 horses, a cat, and a dog. That's all I have right now. I think that's plenty. So so what? I think what I want to start with on this topic is animals. Animals really kind of are way far ahead of us as far as being connected to their soul. Um, they aren't taught by, oh, you have raccoons, a possum, fox, and a bobcat. Woo, good luck with that. Okay, well, I mean, I can talk about wild animals too. I hadn't even had that on the agenda, but that's actually kind of good. Um, because really and truly, whether they're domesticated or they're wild, animals really are far ahead of us when it comes to, like I said, intuition and being connected to their soul. They haven't been taught by media and family and who knows what else not to trust themselves. So for them, it's just always there. Really, sometimes I've used instinct and intuition interchangeably because really and truly, when you think about animals and people talk about their instincts and even migrating and all of these things, all of that is intuition. I have a blog post on my website from, I don't know, a few years ago, I think, where I talked about, it's they're almost one and the same, instinct and intuition. And when you think about that, and animals just are so far ahead of the game because they're just there. Like they trust what they get, period. It's is it always correct? How they respond, or it's correct in their mind. When you think about it, and I say that using horses because horses are prey animals, um, whereas cats and dogs and cats and dogs, rabbits are prey animals too. Um, Possums are probably prey. and raccoons are probably prey. So, those animals are, in some ways, are really the most intuitive because they are always kind of on the lookout for animals detecting earthquakes. I mean, really and truly, they are always kind of aware of what is going on in their environment. And when you think about that, that's really intuition too. That's, it's not just a safety measure. There is a piece of intuition to that as well. And, animals are some of my favorites to work with when I'm communicating because they are just they're very forthcoming. It is what it is with them. And, they're very direct. If people could be that direct about things, it would, we'd get to the heart of the matter a lot quicker. So, the key really for animal communication then is for us to meet them there, for us to meet them on that soul level. And, your animals are probably giving you messages far more than you realize. And so it's just a matter of really paying more attention to how they're spreading the message. And the reason that I say that is because you know for me, and especially my horses, that's probably what I'm going to talk about the most because that's the animals I really spend the most time with these days. But I've done it with dogs, I've done it with cats, I had my bird for a few years. And really their behavior is going to be one of your biggest signs. What are they doing? How are they responding to something? How are they responding to you? How are they not responding to you? I mean, really and truly, when I do one-on-one sessions for people with my horses, I call them equine led coaching sessions, because really and truly what I'm doing is I am watching my horses whose behavior I know really, really well. I'm watching their behavior and how they respond to the person. And the way that they respond is telling me something about the person. Um, and it, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of known in the intuitive world. It's a lot harder to read, not always, but it can be harder to read the ones that you're closest to. So your own animals, your own kids, your own whoever. Sometimes it's harder because we are so deeply connected to them. But on the other hand, that knowledge and that awareness can really give you so much insight. And if you have specific questions, like, you're wanting to know, that you came here kind of wanting to know about animal communication, please drop it in the chat, because that will help me know kind of where to go with this. But first and foremost, for me, animals communicate with us through their behavior, and really paying attention to what they're doing, when they're doing it. And then the kind of the next thing with that is, this is all kind of mixed in together, but their emotions, their energy, and even their physical feelings. So even what they're feeling physically. Lately I did a Facebook post about a migraine I was having. I had it for like 3 days, and I don't really mine. Even though I still get them, they're pretty mild in the grand scheme of things. So for me to have one for 3 days was a long time. I hadn't had to deal with that in a while. And I finally showed up. I thought about this. Onk and I have a very connected relationship. Well, it has been challenging at times, but still, it is very connected. And sometimes he feels what I'm feeling, and vice versa. So when I got there that day, even though I wasn't feeling very well, I was like, I really need to kind of maybe work with him on relaxing his neck, relaxing his head, which is where he carries a whole lot of his tension, and where I carry my tension. I carry a lot of it in my neck, for sure. I do get the migraines. And so I just spent I don't even remember how long I spent, 30 minutes maybe, I don't know, really working on him to help him relax that neck and that head muscle. And by the end of it, by the end of my time there, he was like galloping across the pasture and my migraine was gone. So it, really paying attention to, especially if you have an animal that is particularly connected, that you're particularly connected to, and they seem particularly connected to you. Like, what is it that may be going on with them that you need to pay attention to? Or what is going on with you that they may be responding to? So it really can go both ways. It's not just what's going on with them, but it can be, well, what's going on with me that they're responding to? Is it something they're trying to tell me, or is it just something physical with them, or that kind of thing? Like right now I'm really kind of trying to figure out, Fire is almost 2, and he just really wants to be in my space, which would be fine if he didn't bite when he was in my space, and I'm really trying to kind of figure out, like, is it my energy that he's like, he really wants to be drawn to it, but he doesn't understand it, maybe, or, so I'm really, I'm in a place right now where I'm kind of trying to figure that out. And even just sort of asking the question, why is he or she doing this? What is going on? Asking that question, why? I've been teaching intuition development for almost as long as I've been doing this, and people will go, well, why did this happen? And my response is always, well, did you ask? Because asking why something is happening, when it's out of the ordinary, and when I say asking, what I mean is asking your soul, asking the universe, asking the collective consciousness, asking that question is what gets the door open for the answers to come in. Now, that's all more kind of external things. When I connect to an animal to really look at their soul, for me personally, when I go to connect with, whether it's a person or an animal or place, whatever it is, I personally close my eyes. It's just the way I do things. Not everybody has to do that, but ultimately what intuition is, what being able to do this work is really just connecting to the energy of something. Everything in the universe really is made up of energy. And so when you choose to try to connect to something's energy or someone's energy, then you're trying to read it. And that's really what I do. I just have learned to read energy really, really well. Hold on. That's a great question, Janelle. Yes, when you're sort of half asleep, your mind is falling asleep. So intuition often is soul-based or heart-based. The mind gets in the way all the time, all the time, all the time. The mind will get in your way all the time. So when you, and really and truly, that kind of goes along with what I was just saying. When I first started doing this, um, I had to learn, I did back then everything was on CDs. I had to do this meditation series that taught me how to get out. Sorry, that's going to sound really bad. Get out of my mind. I had to stop letting my mind interfere. And with somebody who has grown up with tons of anxiety, diagnosed with ADHD, all of the things, my mind is like, so I did have to kind of learn how to do that. But if you use that example, I mean, really, it's a great example of that place that you get when you've laid down, you're about to fall asleep, you're relaxed. Um, when you kind of, if you're able to start tuning into that relaxed place, that's really what you're doing. That's how you connect with something, more clearly, because then your mind isn't, reeling 1,000 things at you. And your mind will start to tell you, oh, that doesn't make sense. Oh, you can't trust that. Oh, that's not logical. Blah, 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 blah. And So entering that kind of relaxed place where your mind isn't the one in control all the time is where you're going to get better messages for sure, 100%. Um, and I love that he says good night, because that kind of leads into my next sort of thing is when I connect with animals and I'm looking at them, the majority of the time, what they show me is pictures. But I'm that way with humans too. Like I'm looking at soul. I'm it's just I'm not a big I don't get a lot of language from people or animals. Do I get it? Absolutely. I do get it, but not very often. But that's just me. There are some people that will, you can have full conversations if that's the way, it comes through for you. Um, for me, and a lot of people though get pictures from animals, so that's not unusual. Um, the challenge with it is trying to decipher what they're trying to tell you. um, I have a horse, a regular client horse, actually up in North Carolina, Janelle, and she asked me to check in on him periodically, and the last time I checked in on him, I was like, man, it looks like he's like covered in like caramel. Like he's showing me this like it's thick and brown. I'm like, it kind of reminds me of caramel. And she says, well, his favorite treat are these German horse muffins. And I started laughing. I go, German horse muffins have molasses in them. And I'm like, that's what he's trying to show me. I go, he may love them, but I think he's getting too many of them. So it was, because molasses and horses can be very anything super sweet. A lot of sugar, it's not good for horses, just like it's not good for people. Hi, how can I have puppy? Um, so um, horses, I mean, animals in general like to send pictures. Um, and so pictures are kind of the primary way, but then like I was doing some, seeing some mini horses a few weeks ago, and the woman and I were talking about the little mare. She was just a year old. She was full fit to be tied. She was, hmm, she had some. She like reached up at one point to bite me on the shoulder, and so we were trying to kind of figure out what was going on with her, and she was like that with her owner and anybody that came in the paddock even. And the owner said, "Well, do you think we should change her name? Her name is Stormy." And I'm like, because she was literally born during a thunderstorm. So they named her Stormy. Well, yeah, names sometimes can definitely have like some negative connotations. And right about the time she says, do you think we should change her name? The little Minnie goes, Jenny. Like, I mean, just as loud as she could be. And so I heard that. But again, sometimes I get language and sometimes I don't. The other thing is, again, when I'm tuning into them and I'm looking at them, if I feel something in my body while I'm tuned into them, then that generally is something going on with them. So there's a lot of different ways that you can communicate with animals, really and truly. um, Really, just, I mean, honestly, the behavior really is one of the keys. And because we tend to be, we just go along. we go along with our day, we go along with what's, with our to-do list, with everything that's going on, and we're not. See, cats are really responsive to energy. Like it just never fails to, surprise me when there is a cat that shows up during a session because they just feel it. I mean, it's like just when I had my two cats inside, as soon as I would sit down at the desk to start, they would be in my lap. And I was like, love you guys. But eventually, because they were like, all over, and I'm like, we're gonna have to slow it. Y'all are gonna have to get down or something because you're in the way. Yeah. Oh, that's actually funny. I'll have to think about that. So, any questions about all of that? Anything that I didn't cover, kind of just on a broad scale, that you would like to know? No. I was going to type it. I have to say, I don't know that I've connected with a rabbit. I can't remember if I've ever connected with a rabbit. I don't think I have. I have connected with some, like, help if I'm more quiet, to talk for them. In what way? What do you mean? You can take if you want to do it by talking, you can. It's fine.
Maybe it's because I don't have a lot of people here I can talk to, but because Evan is very echolalic and we
Yeah.
have many conversations, but it's a lot of times just me and the animals. And so I'm talking to them and they're answering, but it's my voice, I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, lady, give me some food, or, they sing like
Yeah.
gangsters. Yeah. Cats do anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just thinking if I'm more quiet, maybe I'm trying to fill the void, but maybe if I'm more quiet, I'll get not more messages, but be more in tune with them.
It's possible. Really, the only thing, what I would say is the only thing you can do is try. I certainly feel like that being quiet kind of does take you to that, that relaxed place. Because you aren't trying to fill the space. Now, mind you, I talk to my animals just almost the same way that I do people. Like I have to explain to people when they come to see me at the horses. I'm like, I'm going to talk to the horses just like I do you. um, so, but if you are wanting to get more messages, then certainly being quiet can certainly help them um, know that you're listening. And it leaves space for them to communicate more, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Give give us an example of like what is it? Ankh? Is that how you say it? Ankh?
Uh-huh.
Ankh.
Honk. Mm-hmm.
When you went out there the day you had that 3-day migraine, what was he showing you? When was he showing you his neck or like to rub it or?
Well, so what I do with him, he's never liked to be touched, and it's taken me years to figure out kind of what's going on with that. And some of it was just strictly behavioral.
He's the
He had just
daddy,
learned
right?
he's the daddy. He had just kind of learned, I think, that touch, or somewhere in his brain, being touched was a negative thing. Um, but I think he also was a pain. And so being touched was painful. So for him, I just knew that he carried a lot of his tension in his neck. So in a horse, the spine actually goes from the top of the head. The spine actually goes from the top of the head down the side, like it's in the middle of their neck. So their spine is actually, just like us, we have our spine that goes down. Well, in the horse, it's much longer, of course, because their neck is much longer. So it goes down and then it goes up and then it goes down their back, all the way to the first 2 inches of their tail. So their spine actually goes into their tail too. And So for him, I just know that that's where he carries his tension the most, because that was where he never wanted me to touch, especially was the neck and his head. And so I just kind of knew. And so we've been working on it a whole lot, to really get him to relax that area, and be more comfortable with me touching it. Because if we're going to be riding and, all of that, I'm going to have to be touching his head to put the bridle on, and, things like that. So, it has just taken, a lot of different techniques to figure out kind of what's going on with him. So again, sometimes it just comes from knowing your animal. The way that I kind of figured out just how connected we were was, I had a lady, that did acupressure, and she came out to do acupressure sessions on the two of them, and he really liked it, which was interesting to me considering he doesn't like to be touched, but he liked the acupressure. And she came a couple times, and the second time she came, I said, he just doesn't really like me touching him much on his right side, and that he's always been that way. His right side is right side. And she, out of the blue, she says, well, your two accidents that you had that year, what side of the body was injured? And I was like, my right side. Yeah. Leave it to me not to be able to figure that out. And once she pointed it out, and of course, one of those injuries was from him, right? So, I knew, and I thought I had cut cords and done everything with him, but apparently there was still something there. As soon as I cut energetic cords with him on that right side for both of us, he's never had a problem with me touching his right side. So really and truly, we can be highly, highly connected with them. Highly. It's ridiculous sometimes. So yeah. All right. I'm going to pull some cards. Oh, that's good one. Start with. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, that's also a good one too. All right, coming week is looking good. All wands, every bit of it. All wands. So wands are good. So the Ace of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the Daughter of Wands. The Ace of Wands is big energy. It is new ideas, new creativity, but the Ace of Wands is just really big positive energy. It's aces are always about new opportunities, and wands are ideas. Yeah. So big energy, potentially a new idea that you have. The Four of Wands is celebration. So it's interesting that these two would come up together, because one is a new opportunity, but then this one speaks to celebration after focusing on your ideas. So maybe this is just a really short project, and it really speaks to completion, celebration. It's a really good card. And the Daughter of Wands, really, again, we're talking about creativity, news related to the suit. So you could have good news related to this new idea, and things going well. So really great set of cards for the next week. I love those. Ooh. All right. So if you need, did y'all put in kind of what you're, I will send out energy. I didn't put in kind of what you're wanting, but that's okay. I will just create some yeah. I think I know you both well enough to know kind of what maybe what you would like and what would benefit you. So sit back, close your eyes if you want, and just kind of be open to receiving, and I will send out some energy. And if you're watching this later on the recording, this is going out for you too. Okay. Will you receive that well and integrate it? And yeah, that was good. That was good energy. I love that. All right, ladies and your pets. So glad you were here. Thank you for being here and sharing them with me. I love them. And as always, I definitely do. If you're having, if you're kind of struggling with communicating, of course, we can do that in sessions and work together on it as well. So definitely would love to do that with you also. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you, Julie.
Bye. Thank you.